If you want to keep going or not, you feel it in your gut. See, if you feel like you're not done yet, that you don't want to drop yet, then keep going. If you feel like
Mm.
you're beaten up, you're defeated, and it's wasting your life, that you feel miserable studying Japanese, you can just
Ah,
take a pause. You don't
yeah.
need to stop, but just take a break and come back later and see if you really like it or not. But it shouldn't be a cross that you bear. You don't have to force it through. It should be a pleasant experience.
But you need to have that drive. You have to kind of like have a baseline level of like hunger that you
Yeah.
have towards learning the Japanese language or
Mm-mm.
anything. Like you if you're just a naturally curious person and you're the type of person that will see things through to the end, then you'll most likely be, able to study Japanese and see it through to the end, or at least through to N1 or N2 or whatever your
Yeah.
goal might be.
Rose of old Japan, I'm coming back to you. There in old Japan, you'll make my dreams come
And
true.
welcome back to the Nihon no Madoguchi Podcast with your host Domo and
Marty, what's up, everyone? How's it going, Domo? We just finished Golden Week, so you are still in Golden Week because you took a couple of days off. You told me. How has
this is true.
Golden Week been for you?
It's been a little hectic. A lot
Mm,
going on over here on my side of the pond, I guess. And
mm,
I won't get into too much of the details. 'Cause we'll be here all day. But
sure.
safe to say, it was a great Golden Week. And again, like Marty said, I took a couple extra days off to extend my Golden Week vacation to give me like 10 days off. It's
Nice,
beautiful. It's
nice.
beautiful. Maybe 20, 10, 11, maybe a little bit more than that. We'll see.
Mm.
But yeah. How about you though, Marty? How was? I
So
know you guys don't have Golden Week
as you can
there.
see, as you can see, I'm not in my normal biome. I'm not in my normal background. The reason is being that
Mm,
we don't have Golden Week here in France. But as I work for a Japanese company, they do have Golden Week over there. It means that
it's true. It's
when
true.
they have Golden Week, my amount of work kind of reduce. It's not going. It does not go to zero, of course. It's not like I'm doing nothing, but I have a few things to do. So I decided to come visit my parents in south of France, and that is why you see
Mm.
that there is still something that reminds us of Japan, but it's not the usual background. So and hopefully the quality is the same, but I'm connected with my phone, so hopefully, finger crossed, we don't have any any more technical issues because we have been facing a few technical issues in the past episodes. But
Yeah.
people didn't see the last one, so I guess they didn't notice.
I don't know what it is, Marty. I think our English episodes aren't. They're just not hitting like the Japanese ones. I don't
They are
know,
not
but
linky.
hopefully this one does.
Let's
Yeah,
hope
hopefully
so.
this
Let's hope
one,
so.
people will take a liking to this episode here.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Marty, you wanna introduce the
Sure.
topics for us
Sure. Sure.
today?
So today will be a rather intimate episodes. We have been coming through a series of a more like opinion oriented episodes, more like general episodes. Today we decided to go for a more rather intimate, personal experience. Long story short, today's episode is about our Japanese study journey. So we wanted to
Mm.
discuss a little bit about how we started learning Japanese and the process that brought up to the current proficiency level that we have now, which is good enough, I would say. I wouldn't say we are master EQ. No, you are EQ in JLPT, but I'm referring to the other one.
Ah,
What is the other one? The It's not Kanzen master. Is the Kanji Kente. Kanji Kente
oh
level.
yeah,
We
yeah,
don't
yeah,
have EQ Kanji Kente level, but we are good
yeah.
enough that we can have a podcast in Japanese. So that
Yeah,
is the
sure. Right,
idea,
right.
to share some of our some bits of our journey, and by the end also sharing some tips or some observation suggestion on people that may like to start this very long journey? Because spoiler alert, Japanese study is something that takes a lot of time and a lot of patience. But maybe you can start today's discussion, Domo, with how you started learning Japanese, why, and how you started learning Japanese, and then we can pick it up from there.
Yes, of course. So I don't know if any of our viewers have seen any of our prior episodes related to Japanese language learning. But I did mention, I feel like I've mentioned how I began learning Japanese.
Yeah.
As in, I started studying Japanese when I was in high school. I was 15, if I'm not mistaken, and it was a purely coincidence. I was not originally intending to take Japanese. I was intending to take Chinese. A lot of things happened. I'm going to speed through this, right? A lot of things happened. Couldn't take the Chinese course. I was recommended the Japanese course, and happily ever after, right? Take Japanese, fall in love with the language and the culture, and now here we are. Fast forward 13 years into the future. So,
Years.
well, maybe now it's 14 now. Ooh,
Wow.
it's good. Yeah. So to answer the question of how long I've been studying Japanese, it's been 14 years on and off. Now, I'll say I haven't been like properly, like after you get out of the classroom and into like self-study kind of territory, it takes a lot, a lot of time, a lot of effort to sit down and study grammar and things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So if we look at it like proper studying, opening, hitting the books, I would say maybe 10 years, like solid hitting the books, maybe even less than that. Everything else post that, especially post JLPT, I haven't really been studying much in regards to grammar and vocabulary. I've been doing a lot of kanji study, which I mean, I guess does help increase my vocabulary, but it's less studying vocabulary for vocabulary's sake and more of studying vocabulary so I can memorize this obscure kanji that doesn't really get used. So yeah, it's been a long journey. It's been a long journey. And I would imagine starting studying Japanese from high school, from age 15 is not the norm. It's not the normal path. I would say most people, you know, possibly probably start studying Japanese in college or
Yeah, yeah,
university.
I think so too.
And I think if I'm not, mistaken, that's what our co-host Marty,
Yeah.
that's where his journey started. If you do you want to take us away
Sure, sure,
on
sure, sure,
like
sure.
your brief journey? Yeah.
まさにその通りでございます。So yes, I started in university mainly because studying Japanese, it's rather difficult if you don't live in big cities to find places where you can study Japanese with teachers outside of uni. I think I had a friend of mine started Japanese in high school, as you did, Domo, but it was in Marseille, so it's the second biggest city in France, which explains why there was only one high school in the whole city that had some Japanese lessons giving. Other than that, you can do some self study. I think now it was easier than when I started. I graduated high school in 2013, which is 13 years ago. So the facilities, the things that were available online at the time were rather redacted. I mean, we didn't have Duolingo, we didn't have all these kind of apps. So that is why I hadn't touched anything up until university. And then I decided that I had some time. I didn't want to join the workforce right away. So I decided to go to university. And since I wanted to do something that I was curious about, I started learning. I took Japanese as a major. And that is when I started. So in university, which is probably it's I wouldn't say it's the best way to start learning Japanese in university. You have a lot of catch up to do, and a lot of mental gymnastic that is a little bit difficult to do when you have to go very, very fast in like a college environment. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I don't know about you, Domo, but in high school you can take your time. Like you don't really need to speed through the learning process in order to get grades and in order to like validate your year. It's more slow pace, right? In high school, I suppose. Ah, Domo is speaking, but there is no sound coming from his.
Sumimasen, you guys.
He mute himself.
I had to. I
We'll
had
keep
to.
this. We'll keep
Full,
this.
full disclosure. I was just adjusting the temperature on my aircon, my air
Ah.
conditioner unit, and I didn't want the beep to make it into the episode, so I muted myself and forgot to unmute myself. I'm sorry, you guys. But no, so I don't know what it's like in Europe,
Mm,
but American high schools, at least the high school I went to, I mean, I guess it is kind of slow paced.
mm,
Um, I studied Japanese for 3 years in high school, from my second year, second, third, fourth year, and I mean, yeah, I would say first year you learn, the basic stuff, probably up to upper upper beginner,
right.
level,
Yeah.
and then second year you're in the intermediate range, learning the T
Mm,
form and things like that. Um, learning some a bunch of intermediate level stuff, but I don't think you really get too crazy. I would say you probably make it to middle of intermediate.
right.
And now in my case, I was a special case again, because my high school, they offered 4 years of Japanese, so you could
Right.
take 4 years. But the fourth year was like what we call AP,
Mm-hmm.
AP level, which is advanced placement,
Mm,
and it's like the course for all the smart kids.
right.
Um, and after my second year, those going into the fourth year of Japanese into AP level, there was only two, and
Mm,
like so all of the third years, all the people who were in the third year Japanese class, they were all seniors, so they were going to graduate. They could
right.
take the fourth level, and there were only like two people who were eligible to move on to the second course who weren't seniors,
Mm,
and so with only two people, they would end up scrapping the course,
of course,
because they're
yes.
not going to have a whole
Not
class
enough
just for
people.
two
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so our teacher reached out to us who were in our second year of Japanese, um, if we wanted to skip the third level and then go straight to the fourth level slash
Nice.
AP level.
Nice.
And I was like, yes, of course. But she was like, obviously, you can't just skip to the AP level without getting the level 3 knowledge,
Mm,
which is like the middle, intermediate, upper intermediate stuff. So she was like, you have to study that over the summer. And if you need any help or you have any questions about any grammar points or something like that, you can just email me or
mm,
message me or something. And I was like, okay, yeah, okay, sure. Me and I would say two other people, decided, yeah, we'll go to the upper level course. We'll skip level 3.
mm,
Um, However, we didn't like. There were times when we were like, yeah, we should meet up and study, but my house was an hour away from their house, and yeah, I didn't have a car. My mom was
mm.
not gonna drive me an hour
No.
out anywhere, so I didn't really get to study. They live close together,
Right.
so that was fine for them. But I had to study on my own, and long story short, got into the class, and then that
Nice.
class was kind of accelerated, right? It was like advanced, like we were
Mm-hmm.
going through, we were learning stuff to take like into, I think, into maybe,
That's quite
yeah, I
low.
think it was
Yeah,
into
that's
kind of,
quite high.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started going crazy. Now
Mm,
I won't say that's how it is at every school, but I will say when I was in high school, I went to this thing called the Japan Bowl. So imagine the Super Bowl,
Mm-hmm.
but minus the football, minus any type of athletic, elements, and
Right.
it's just like a quiz tournament for though like
Mm,
high school students who are involved in the Japanese community, learning Japanese, this, that, and the other. Um, and every year, you know who took the cake?
nice.
Anybody from California, just because
Uh,
there's a very high, very dense
community. Yeah.
population of Japanese
Mm-hmm,
people,
mm-hmm.
of Japanese people there, and their Japanese was it was immaculate. Like, it was so full. We're all the same age. We're all high school students,
Mm-hmm.
but their Japanese was so much better than ours. And I'm like, what is it? And so I imagine their schools are probably even more intense than ours,
Mm,
right? Their high school Japanese programs are probably even more like super intensive. Maybe in a year or two, they're probably upper intermediate,
right.
type
Mm,
classes. And so I guess it just depends on where you go.
I
Sorry,
see.
I took
A detour.
wound
No,
around
no,
to
no,
get
no, no.
to your answer.
Mm,
But yes.
mm. Yeah. While in university, the thing is that you cannot only 100% focus on Japanese language learning. You have also
Yeah, yeah.
a lot of other different courses. And also, I mean, to be fair, my university was relatively good at teaching Japanese. It
Mm.
was not that bad. It was not that bad. After the 3 years program, I had a mama good enough level in Japanese. Even me, because spoiler alert, I'm not a kind of a bookish guy when it comes to language
Mm.
learning. I For any language that I've learned, um, don't really like. I'm not very able to pick up stuff from books on a very theoretical level. You can tell
Yeah,
me that this is causative, dative, whatever. You can explain it to me with words and continuative, and it comes here and goes out here.
mm.
It
Mm.
doesn't. I don't record the information. I don't make in mine language related things. I'm more of a practical guy, so I need to put it
Yeah,
into practice. I just use it, and then the more I use it, the more I learned it. But to be honest, yeah, it was not that bad. My university, with thinking about it now, it was not that bad. Maybe
mm.
mm, the issue is that when you are in a classroom with 50 people, you kind of get
Mm.
you don't get like a very personal teaching. And for Japanese, I think that's if you don't have a closer relation, if you don't have small classes, it could be a difficult language to learn on a big scale of people getting
True,
together.
true,
So
true.
we usually had a lot of like grammar lesson with 50-ish people. At the beginning, it
Mm.
was even more than that. First year, that's I don't know if you experienced the same thing, but in my university, first year Japanese, there were 250 students, and by the third year, so third and last year, there were like 50 students. So they every year they got half because Japanese learning is so difficult and it's so beyond what they expected. A lot of people just like anime and manga and pop culture,
Yeah,
and they just want to learn language, the language that they see every day, and they hit the wall so badly. It's so difficult to learn Japanese from a foreigner. I mean, from a Western
yeah.
perspective that every year our numbers got halved. It was impressive. I don't know if you experienced the same thing in your college years.
So it's interesting because I obviously I experienced the exact same thing that you're
Mm,
talking about, because Japanese is indeed a very difficult language to learn,
mm,
especially for native English speakers,
yeah.
right? Um, and it's because I got the opportunity to take Japanese in high school and in college. I got to see this phenomena kind of like on both sides, right?
Mm,
In a kind of in a high school setting and in a university setting. However, for the high school setting, the first 2 years, it was compulsory. You had to take like a foreign language for 2 years.
Right.
But even then, after the first year of Japanese, because like we probably have about 40 people in the class as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then that's the first year. Second year, probably like 12, 13, drops immensely. Like it is a hard language to learn.
Yeah.
And going to university, because I had taken Japanese for 3 years in high school, I only took Japanese for 1 year in university,
Mm-hmm.
technically. And then I went to JTW,
Right.
improved my Japanese there, and then came back to university and was the TA. I was the teaching assistant for the Japanese teacher.
Nice.
So, but my university was quite small, and even for like the first year Japanese students, you probably had no more than 25 people, maybe 30. And that's just because there's not a lot of students on the campus in general. And as you say, the second year sliced in half. You get to the third year. I mean, actually, yeah, third year even smaller, and obviously last year smaller than that. But usually those who make it past the first year, I've noticed something about people who learn Japanese, Marty, and think we're a little
Neither
missing a
crazy.
little
Yeah.
screw, a little loose up here in the mental department. It takes a certain type of person to become proficient at Japanese, to stick with it, until you get to that point where you can consider yourself Jozu. And I don't know how how I made it this far. I think I might be a masochist or something. Because
I think
Japanese
so.
was
Yeah.
beating my ass throughout the years, but I didn't give up, and none of us gave up. We made it to the end. You know, well, not the end. We're still on the journey, of course,
Yeah.
but we're closer to the end than we started, of course.
I agree.
And yeah, it's usually those who stick through to becoming into in one level, of proficiency. Um, they have typically they have like some type of deeper connection to Japan, more uh less superficial when they like with the anime and the manga,
Yes.
right? They want to dive deep into some type of cultural aspect in Japan. They like the music, or they want to learn how to play a Japanese instrument like the shamisen, or they want to really get into sumo, but you can't really watch sumo unless you're watching it in Japanese, or you really want to get into the history of sumo, which I mean, there's probably a lot of English literature out there about sumo, but you want to read it in the native tongue, that and the other. I know, yeah, I've come to realize that a lot of us, we all have, and we've talked about this in other episodes, we all have something that we're really interested in,
Yes.
or multiple things that we're really interested in. We go deep. We go deep, deep, deep. And that's what keeps us interested and keeps us with the studying on the language. So if I had to give you you guys any type of advice in this episode, it would be find something that truly interests you about the Japanese language or about the Japanese culture that you would want to know more about, genuinely. Aside from obviously anime and manga, there's nothing wrong with getting started with Japanese through media and through their content, but that might not be enough motivation to keep you going, right?
Totally.
Yeah, but yeah, just find something you're interested in. Again, Marty, he talked about his in a previous episode. I've talked about mine as well, and try to enjoy the journey, right? Once you do that,
Easier said than done, I would say.
easier said than done. You don't get beat up. Japanese is gonna beat you up.
But I would add on that, yes, of course. I think everyone that sticks through 3, 4, 5, 6 years of Japanese study, they have a drive. Like they have a deeper drive of wanting to be able to speak or to read or to use the language. That
It's true.
I would also extend your recommendation to if you have like just a good enough interest in anime and manga, but that's top there. Maybe don't start learning Japanese. That's not for you, actually. Not trying to not I'm not trying to gatekeep here, of course,
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
there is a lot of gatekeeping in the Japanese speaking community for foreigner people that I'm not
Yeah.
very fond of. But it's more like the ordeal of starting, especially the first couple of years. Like the difficulties is very steep. Like
Mm,
you don't get rest, and especially in like a university or a school type of environment where everything is subject to grades, to credits, to have a dynamic of needs to be successful, needs to keep up and get everything within a certain time amount of time, be able to reproduce it within an exam like environment. I'm asterisk. I don't really like learning languages in university or like a school like environment where you need to
mm,
get
mm,
grades.
mm.
So I like the
Yeah.
portion where they share with you the theory, they teach you, but the exam part of a language learning process, I feel like it is detrimental to the actual learning of the language, where you're subject to I need to learn it, and if you fail your test, then it means that you cannot speak
Mm,
Japanese. It's not very good for. I mean, you need some kind of examination to check how good or what is your improvement. But the way that your future depends on how many grades you get into university, how much
yeah,
faster,
yeah,
how smart you were in getting the language. So I would say that if you don't have a very strong drive towards Japan and Japanese, learning Japanese in university or like in a school environment may not be the best experience for you, because
yeah. Mm,
you don't have all the strong passion that kind of overcoats this not very
uh,
useful environment. I would suggest rather start learning it by yourself
mm,
or Duolingo or whatever. Maybe take some classes, but don't make it your major, because you will start hating Japanese down the line. And that's not, if you don't have that drive that makes you overcome it. How many times did we, I don't know about you, Domo, but how many times did we share proffer very bad words against Japanese language? Like,
yeah,
why is it so difficult? Why is it not more simple? I mean, I suppose Japanese people do the same towards English or whatever, where
sure,
they
sure.
like it's so different. But yes, the drive is very important, and I think that is also what pushed me through university as well. The want, I mean, the drive to be able to speak with a Japanese person in Japanese, the drive to be able to travel to Japan in my own and be able to experience without some kind of guided filter. That was my drive that pushed me through. Of course, there was
Mm,
also, because Japanese university, Japanese majors at university, they're very, very smart, and they put you the idea of doing 1 year abroad as some kind of
yeah.
rewards for the best of the students. So you have also this kind of carrot in front of you that you're aiming towards.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, of
And
course.
people that say that they don't do it for that, they are lying, because let's face it, the people that say I'm studying Japanese in university but I don't want to do a year abroad, nah, I don't believe them.
Mm, yeah, it's well, I will yeah, if you're majoring in Japanese, yeah. Um yeah, you definitely probably want to do a year abroad.
Yeah.
And I'll add on to your statement because it's spot on
Mm.
about how you need not only extrinsic motivations but intrinsic
Mm.
motivations, like that kind of drive that Marty was talking about. If you have like Japanese the language,
Mm. Mm.
and then you have all the things that attach to that, aka anime, the media, the culture, this, that, and the
Mm.
other. that's all outside of you, right? You know, you like this thing, you like that thing, you like watching this thing, you want to know more about that thing. That could be cool, and that's fine. That could help
Mm.
add to that drive, but you need to have that drive. You have to kind of like have a baseline level of like hunger that you
Yeah.
have towards learning the Japanese language or
Mm-mm.
anything. Like you, if you're just a naturally curious person and you're the type of person that will see things through to the end, then you'll most likely be, able to, study Japanese and see it through to the end, or at least, through to N1 or N2 or whatever your
Yeah.
goal might be. But yes, you do need some type of intrinsic. Like with Marty, he say he wants to go to Japan and experience it for himself without unfiltered, right?
Mm-mm.
Pure, unadulterated, raw Nihon, right? That
Mm-mm.
was his goal. My goal in that regard was it was especially at the time during JTW. I like having conversations with people. I like talking to people because I learn a lot,
Right.
especially with older people. I wanted to just talk with people. Um, obviously going around, Japan and without any assistance
Mm.
is obviously a big plus when if you can learn to speak Japanese fluently. But my goal was to get better at speaking so that I could talk to people and
Mm.
not just, oh, hey, how are you, what's your major, but more, oh, what do you think about the memory palace, or
Mm.
start getting into some like kind of abstract concepts, stuff that I'm personally interested in just in general,
Right.
and I want to
Mm.
talk about that stuff in Japanese with other people who also might be interested.
Mm.
And it was that's what kept me going. I mean, again, I'm not even that much of a extrovert. Um, but I'd had enough interactions with people just in general that
Mm.
I wanted to go deeper. All of my conversations were just surface level,
Right.
and I was very frustrated that I couldn't express what I really wanted to say.
Mm.
Um, and so I wanted to get to a point to where where I was able to speak Japanese in the same way that I speak English,
Right.
right? Even same or similar mannerisms, kind
Mm.
of similar diction, kotobatsukai,
Mm.
that kind of thing. And I'll say I gotten pretty close. I've gotten pretty close. There's
Nice.
still definitely things I can't talk about in Japanese. I just don't know have the vocabulary to do
Mm.
so. But I can always look it up, and
Right.
then because it's no longer I can't speak Japanese. I don't know the grammar. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know how to phrase this thing. I just don't know what this thing. Literally, I just know what this word is. I think it was the other day. I was trying to remember how to say the most wanted list. Um,
I
and
see.
you see it all the time,
Mm.
and it's like Juyo Shime Tehai or something like that. Don't
Mm.
don't I know
I
I
don't
messed it
quote
up.
on
I've
you.
already
Yeah.
forgotten it again. But but like I was like, oh no, what is it? What is it? And I just looked it up,
Mm.
found the word, and I just continued on with the conversation. Because I'm the type that I have to figure out what the word is. Obviously, I
Mm.
could go and I can do an imawashi, or I can, just use a synonym or something, or just go around and explain
Mm.
what I'm trying to say.
Right.
But I wanted to know the word, so I literally looked it up mid conversation. Like, hold on, hold on,
Mm.
hold on. Ah, there it is. And then I just continue with the conversation.
Right.
But yeah, that intrinsic
Intrinsic. Yeah.
motivation. Why do you want to study Japanese
Mm-mm.
outside of the physical, actual contents, media, and stuff like that?
Yeah.
What do you want to use your Japanese language for?
Mm-mm.
Like, if you were able to get, really good at speaking it.
I think yes, that is a good drive, and it is also that covers pretty much the like learning Japanese at university. Now, while you were speaking, I got a kind of a weird idea. Let's make
Okay,
this conversation a multiple part. So I think we will
sure.
bring the discussion to a closure for today. For you
Mm,
today, because we will be keep continuing this discussion, the same discussion, but we will cut it into multiple parts. I'm. This is quite new for Domo. Domo is Hatsumi me on this, but I got this
I
idea that maybe could be an interesting one. So I think we got to this point where we are in university, right? I will suggest that we keep the discussion on about the year abroad, which is a very important
oh,
step for many
of course.
people that learn Japanese. But that will be in the next episode. So I think it is a very short
Oh,
one today, 34 minutes. But I think for the time being, we have much more to say in the next episode. And we bid you farewell. Or Tomo, do you want to give us some insight, or you good to skip to part two that will be released in 2 weeks?
no, nothing particularly. Again, right? Just find that intrinsic motivation to push on because
The
Japanese
drive.
is a hard language. It will beat your
It
behind,
will.
and you'll during the multiple years that you're studying, you're gonna ask why.
Yeah.
Why am I doing this to myself? Why am I learning this language?
Yeah.
I've found myself posting on like at the time
Me
Facebook.
too. Me too.
I really like Japanese is so hard, and
Mm.
everyone in the comments is like, "Yeah, duh."
Duh.
I'm like, I mean, I know this, but I mean, I know it, but why is it so difficult? It's so hard. So you're gonna need something to really keep you going, keep you motivated. But even when you're not motivated,
Yeah.
having that discipline to keep studying on because you want to get, you have that goal in mind.
Yeah, I would say you feel it in your guts. If you want to keep going or not, you feel it in your guts. If you feel like you're not done yet, that you don't want to drop yet, then keep going. So if you feel like
Mm.
you're beaten up, you're defeated, and it's wasting your life, that you're feeling miserable studying Japanese, you can just
Ah,
take a pause. You don't
yeah.
need to stop, but just take a break and come back later and see if you really like it or not. But it shouldn't be a cross that you bear. We bear the cross because we like it. We like the heavy feeling, this heavy building on our that we drag our Japanese studies. But if you don't feel like bring we you don't have to force it through. It should be a pleasant experience, and we like to suffer, so it is a pleasant experience for us. But we suffer pretty much. And I would
Indeed.
say that's all for today. And stay tuned for part two that will be released in a couple of weeks. That we will be recording right away, so we won't change our T-shirt. By the way, check a very nice T-shirt.
Okay, that's like yes, sir.
So
I'm
very
wearing a similar
nice.
shirt to like a previous episode, yeah. But
So don't think us that we are dirty. It's only that we'll be doing part one, two, three, and so forth and so forth. So I guess there is all for today, and bid you farewell. And as always, the most important word of all.
so
Soigi.